Oh, hey, Benchwarmers. Hi, friends. This is awesome to be here. Well, I don't know how many friends we're going to have left. If you guys watch Sunday for my first debut episode of Sunday Scaries, which will be live every week, um, I don't pull. We've been trying to tell you this. We don't pull punches when it comes to our sports opinions and what I think is going on in the world and what I think is right, what I think is not right. And I was sick and tired of hearing so many people complain about the death of a conference, which, in all honesty, I'm sure that other fans of other sports are upset, like baseball, basketball, probably volleyball, all those sports that don't drive revenue. You're probably really upset with what's going on. But here's the thing, I don't care. I really don't care. The Pac 12, good riddance. See ya. Bye. What have you done for me lately? What truly have you done for me lately? In 2011, you made a network that doesn't work with any cable package, that only two and a half, and now you moved that network to a place where they still can't get it in cable. Oh, let's go to Apple TV. Two and a half million people subscribe to Apple TV, which is great. Am I turning on college football when I watch Apple TV? No. I'm turning on ESPN. I'm turning on ABC. I'm turning on CBS, Fox Sports, something other than Apple TV. Apple TV is like third, fourth, fifth reserve before I get into when I stop watching WWE. Maybe I'll throw on the Pac 12 on Apple TV, but it's not worth it. The games are too late. Nobody watches with everything that's set up. Like Christian McCaffrey having the best year since Barry Sanders at a Pac 12 school was the biggest detriment to college football of all time. Nobody saw it. He didn't win a Heisman Trophy for it. The dude literally had one of the best seasons we've ever seen, and nobody even really knows. So I'm really not all that broken up. You guys can go back, listen to that episode, check out our reels and the videos that we posted on our streams at FEOTB Pod. It's not worth it. It's not really worth talking about, but we're going to talk about it. That's the center of attention for this week, episode 146. Let's bring Nico in. Let's get started talking about the week that was in sports.
If you don't stay down and you never quit, come on over here and sit on the far end of the bench.
It's Denver week. It's Denver week. I'm pumped. I have no idea what to expect, which is honestly probably better, Nico. I'm pumped for this weekend.
It's going to
be a blast.
going to be a lacrosse-filled weekend, which is probably the first time Jimmy has ever said those words out of his mouth. So,
well, yeah, I talked about the last time with my brother playing. I was like,
this is not me. This is not it for me. But yeah, no, I could not be more thrilled to not have to be traveling anywhere this week, and that it comes to my backyard, makes my life easier, regards to travel, everything. My team made a trade Monday night. Like
your coach is blowing up on the refs.
The throwback, I know, and my head is in the back of the photo of a picture of two guys going at each other with 7,000 views or likes on it on PLL, and we throwback jerseys this week. I mean, everything is booming right now. Is all I'll say. Everything is booming. Lacrosse is what Denver is all about this week. So I could not be more excited to promote and show what the sport I grew up playing and loving as done to be where it's at.
Yeah, the sultry sounds that you're hearing, if this is your first time tuning in or if you tuned in on Sunday for Sunday Scaries, this is our normal content, Far End of the Bench podcast, Jimmy Pilato and Nico Bryant. Episode 146, be sure to follow at FEOTB Pod. It's in mine, it's in Nico's, it's down at the bottom of the screen. We got plenty of stuff to get into this week. We're going to kick it off kind of mentioning my COA. We'll talk a little bit more about the PLL, what's been happening. Nico's got some updates for us. And then we will start our NFL previews. We are going to be breaking down both the Souths. Yes, the Souths, because I feel like they were the worst of last year. So we'll talk about the AFC and NFC South, what to expect, who we think is going to come out on top, and then obviously guess the bench. Nico is back on the hot seat, and we're doing some college football / Heisman.
I will be
trivia.
terrible at it because I don't like. Look, I follow the NFL, as you all know, but like the NBA controls my head when my team is this good, and it's hard. And I don't really have a college football team. I really don't. Like I did for a little while, but now I'm just like I'm a free agent, and I guess I'm a CU fan now, or I can be partial to them because of Dion being back. But it's really just a crapshoot. So we'll see how I do.
Yeah, and Well, there's a lot of changes going on. So if you're like Nico and you don't follow college football as religiously as somebody like myself, the people that turned into our Bowl Pick'em shows, I said it many times on the show. I watch an unhealthy amount of college football. I'm on ESPN from Thursday evening, and then in October, November, when the action starts on Wednesday, it's Wednesday all the way through technically Monday night because that's the ESPN game for the NFL. But that's all my channels. They're ESPN, Fox Sports, whatever affiliate they're playing through. I play NCAA 14 still religiously. I've kept my PlayStation 3 around for one reason.
The new game has been announced, confirmed next summer coming out. So
confirmed because they've confirmed it like 3 times.
I know they've confirmed it 3 times, but I think I would like to believe that this one will stick. So I guess we'll see. But I would like to believe that it's been confirmed.
Yeah, I would hope that it is because the things that are going to be in it now, hopefully they add the in this game, they'll add like an expansion setting for the playoff. Who knows? It's going to be interesting because that game has to live up to a lot of hype. And who really knows if NCAA 14 was that good? But it is valuable because it's the last one that we have up until whenever the next one finally does drop.
Exactly. And we didn't get to play with Lamar. We didn't get to play with Johnny Football. We didn't get to play with the Cam Newtons of the world. Like you named the list. Like it goes
Christian
on.
McCaffrey. Christian McCaffrey at running back. Whew. I mean, anywhere.
Like you could go down the list of great college football player names that we just did not get to play with because we got fucking robbed of it because EA Sports is a money-driven company, which makes sense because it's a video game company, but still painful. But I'm glad we're back to where it can be finally back in the mix.
Yeah, and then we'll have a whole new crop of things to complain about because it's going to come out and people are going to hate what they did and it doesn't live up to the hype. And then there's going to be the people that are like, what are you talking about? It's on the next gen station. I can play as my school. Like, think about the teams that moved up to D1A, like James Madison. That's because James Madison was an FCS powerhouse for so long. Now they're in the Sun Belt. You can play with them. Like you'll have other opportunities. So there's going to be both sides, just like there's both sides of the current hot button topic. And I put it out on Sunday. There's no bigger topic to talk about in college sports than the current realignment that's going on. I said I would assume it's all sports because I'll read off the schools and then we'll talk about how many schools in total they're losing. It's the Pac-12. This is the Pac-12. They're still in this for this upcoming season, but after in 2024, they lose Arizona, Arizona State, CU, Oregon, USC, UCLA, Utah, and Washington. That's 8. For you non-math people like me, 3/4 of your conference have decided it's not worth playing on Apple TV in front of 5 people. And I'm not going to be revenue sharing the $5 that you guys are going to be splitting. It honestly might work out better, that broadcasting deal with the 4 teams. And those 4 teams that are left, let's see, Washington State, Oregon State, Cal and Stanford. So it's basically just –
Cal and Stanford are already rumored for the ACC.
Which
is just –
what else are they going to do? What else – here's my question. What else are you going to do? Because all of these schools have now signed new deals, so they're going to be gone anyways. You can't have a 4-team conference where you play 3 round-robin games. Like, okay, we'll do best out of 3, and that's our conference champion. You're not Power 5 anymore. You were on the border of Power 5. At a couple times, I thought the AAC was better than the Pac-12. The ACC is kind of the 4th Power 5 by default, but both of those conferences, I would say, are scrambling right now because of what the Big 12 and the Big 10 have been able to accomplish. And obviously the SEC is its own deal, but it's understated what this media deal, how big of a role this is playing. And I'm sure you understand it because that's kind of more along your side of things. Big 10 and Big 12 own the ESPN and Fox Sports broadcasting deals over the next few years. ESPN or CBS still carries, I believe, or it's NBC now, but the SEC is going to be on ESPN plus their own network plus whatever other affiliate they're able to get on. There's going to be so much more money outside of the Pac-12, which is are you upset that they're leaving? Are you upset that it's dying for a football standpoint? I'm not talking about the other sports, but for a football standpoint, are you going to miss it?
I could care less about the football standpoint. Like I think that I think CU moving back, I think that's huge for this for them. I think also like the factor in of all the other teams and everything, like they're doing what's best for them in terms of football standpoint. Like I think about it in the basketball standpoint, and that's where I'm the most sad. I think that's the point where I'm like, fuck, man, we're losing a lot of opportunity here because the UCLA versus fucking Rutgers middle of January game has no pull to it, none. Like none. Like UCLA versus Oregon in January has playoff contention, or Pac-12 championship contention. Like those games mean something, and the basketball aspect of it's dead. It's absolutely dead. And look, I went on record in saying that the Pac-12 was Conference of Champions. It was a running joke / kind of true, in essence. But like, I think there's a positive and a negative to this. I think UCLA, USC are the ones that are fucking it up because those two going to the Big Ten makes no fucking sense, and they have no idea what they're going to be running into when they play fucking in Ann Arbor, Michigan in November. They have no idea what they're about to run into, plain and simple. So from that standpoint, I don't get it. But you look at CU, you look at Arizona, it's an upgrade. Going to the Big 12 is a major upgrade. Yeah, you lose Oklahoma and Texas, but everyone fucking hates them as it is. Everyone hates those two schools in the Big 12. The Big 12 all of a sudden becomes a very, very competitive conference where every single year you really don't have a favorite. It really isn't. Like you could say like maybe CU is a top 4 team, or maybe it's an Arizona one year, or maybe it's a TCU, Utah. like Utah. There's the Big 12 is going to be the most competitive conference in my opinion. The other conferences will be much more top heavy, but you run into the situation where you're like, fuck, man, like you're losing rivalries, plain and simple. That's where I'm sad. Like you're losing rivalries, and teams are gaining money in terms of it. That's the basketball side of thinking things. Now going to the football side of things, yeah, if you want to ever have a chance at winning the national championship, you have to be in the Big Ten or SEC. That's how I see it. That's how USC and UCLA feel, because they would not fucking willingly go to Ohio State or Michigan on the road in November, December, or whenever those months are that they play. They would not willingly do that. They would also not willingly play that type of a travel schedule if they had to. But they realize, oh, we're not going to get any fucking help if we want to take that next level. Guys like Caleb Williams, who obviously will be gone by next year, will have more opportunities. Guys will be like, you know what, I can go to fucking USD and still play in the national championship. That's a huge factor in trying to take that next step to the NFL, which is every single major D1 school NFL player's goal, or college football player's goal. It absolutely is, and it helps them big time. It really does. I really do think that Oklahoma, Texas, USC, UCLA are in for rude awakenings. That in terms of football, I think that they'll still be very competitive in basketball and the other sports. They're still powerhouses in the other in terms of that, but when you fucking go to the SEC and the Big Ten, it's a different type of football than everything you've done and everything you're used to. And that's where I'm like, okay, you know what? You want to do this, you better be able to prove it, because you're going to run into some trouble. You absolutely will be. And that's my thought on it. And the only thing, obviously, is like I said, it just sucks because of the way college basketball is now being affected for it. I think the Big 12 conference just got so much better in terms of basketball. Adding Arizona and ASU and Utah, those are some good basketball schools. So that's going to make the Big 12 tournament so much better, even with the Kansases and the Kansas States now, and now even with Oklahoma, Texas leaving, it's going to get so much better. So I'm excited for that part. But football, like I said, rivalries are dying. Unfortunately, a short death. I hope they're able to figure it out in terms of playing non-conference games, quote unquote, to get Red River rivalry games, or insert whatever rivalry you want back. But that's the unfortunate part about it, in my opinion.
Yeah, well, that was the discussion initially when Texas A&M left. But here's another argument. I made the argument that it was the Pac-12 network that killed the Pac-12. I saw something that kind of sprung my interest, but it could have been the Longhorn Network. When Texas decided that they wanted to be Notre Dame and have their own broadcasting and everything like that, everyone thought that they could. Now, depending on your brand, like Texas, sure, people will pay. If you're a Texas fan, if you're a Texas alum, if you like Matthew McConaughey, you will pay whatever you have to and do whatever you have to, very similar to the SEC and Big Ten. If the SEC and Big Ten networks were like the Pac-12, where you had to figure out a way to get there and watch the game. If it was SEC country or Big Ten country, they would figure it out. And they would figure it out when you were playing the Sisters of the Poor, and they would figure out when you're playing your biggest rival in the most contentious game towards the end of the season. There is no wavering. Pac-12 football it's a very California-esque, just like how the Pac-10 used to be. I know that you've had the USCs and you've had the Oregons and you've had the Washingtons, and I gave them their credit. When they were in the playoff, when they were contending for the top team in the country, they could have, depending on how things shook out, if Washington plays somebody other than Alabama the year that they make the playoff in the semifinal, they may make it to the national championship game. But you got all of this other dreck and all of these other schools that up until recently have not cared the product that they put onto the field. Up until NIL, Oregon State has been a joke. Oregon State's the team I take over after I was an offensive coordinator in my dynasty as my first head coaching job to try and get a stepping stone. And it's different now. People are trying to make that argument. College football changes. College football has been changing rapidly over the last decade. Just within the last decade, we now have, no BCS. We're going to have an expanded playoff. We're having new conferences, and we're having new networks. And everything is changing.
Everything in a 10-year span, like 15-year span, exactly. Like it's wild how quickly things change so quickly. Because, like I said, and I will even go a step further than this. The college football playoff ruined this. College football playoff ruined this because until you switched it to 10 or 12 teams, I believe it is now. It will be or next year or the year after. Like everyone felt like, oh, Pac-12 doesn't have a fucking chance. ACC, you only have a chance if your name's Clemson. Like these other schools would be like, well, fuck me, I guess, right? Like you basically felt like you're washed away and you were not going to be used the way you wanted to be used. And if you wanted a chance at winning anything, you either had to schedule the hardest non-conference schedule possible and win out, or you're playing for a fucking random Liberty Bowl in the middle of buttfuck Africa. Like literally, like it's that's where the point we are with some of these Pac-12 schools, these other outside schools, which is the most unfortunate part about it. I hurt for the rivalry aspect. I really do think that's what's going to hurt the most. But in terms of football, in terms of teams trying to take that next step to being the guy in college football, it's not a bad move.
And you do get just because of the way other teams have moved, like Oklahoma and Texas going back to the SEC, now you have that rivalry built in with Texas A&M. Texas A&M is back. That was the big rivalry everybody was upset about initially when Texas A&M left. In the Big 12, you get Utah and BYU. You get to keep Arizona State. You're probably going to get some other teams that you get natural rivalries when you play. Hopefully this isn't the start of something where these schools are just going to go back and forth. I don't want to see no conferences whatsoever. But with the talent level, we have never seen college football played as well as we're seeing it now. And with NIL, guys are staying. You're not getting the one and dones. You're not getting the 3 and outs where guys are eligible for the draft and they can make money in college now. So you're going to get a better product on the field. And when you have a better product, you have to have the best teams playing against each other with actual real contingencies on the line. And the contingency now is the 12-team playoff, playing against the best conferences and building yourself to a point where you can compete in those conferences. It's the best. You just got to elevate your product with the way that the game is going. So, yeah, we can be upset about rivalries and those kinds of things. I said it. I've called out those other podcasts by name on VSN. You can come back with us, but I really don't see how this is going to be a negative thing, and people are going to watch just as much college football moving forward. Nothing's really going to be negatively affected except for the Pac-12 if they continue on after 2024. That's the only thing that we're losing.
The Pac Mountain or whatever they want to call it now, combined with the Mountain West, because that's where their only option is at this point.
Yeah, they're going to have to. Those schools, the ones that are left that haven't gotten picked at the other tables, they're just going to make like a little kid table over off to the side, and it'll be the MAC. And if you're really struck by this lack of tradition, watch MACtion. I know that all the people that have been complaining about it, they probably don't watch it as much as they should. That's tried and true college football from like the time where it first started. However long, I'm not going to give it away because that's one of my trivia questions. However long ago college football started. If you want to watch like the traditional, going to be shitty, college kids that are worried about exams instead of actually worrying about playing in the playoffs, watch the MAC. Watch the MAC when it's on middle of the week. Those are the old school football games. But if you want to watch guys that are going to be playing on Sundays against each other in college, watch these other conferences. See how well this turns out. And then let's start complaining. If it's bad, I will be the first one to stand up here and admit that it was bad. But I can't see a way that this isn't going to be totally the next thing, and it's going to take college football into the stratosphere moving forward.
I hope so. I really do hope so. But there's a part of me that just really thinks that people are putting a lot of just stake into this college football playoff, and it's going to hurt the other sports. And obviously football is the most gains the most out of this, and it's the most profitable sport in college. There's zero doubt about that. But at some point, like, you're going to lose a lot of aspects to the other sports, and that's going to hurt a lot more. It's going to hurt the athletes that are non-football athletes more, in my opinion, and trying to get to that next level in terms of that aspect. And I think it will help.
Yeah, and the only other sport that could stand up and say anything and possibly get it to go back would have been basketball. But it's even as much money as the March Madness tournament brings in. There's really nothing to compare it to. It would be like the NBA trying to take Sundays away from the NFL. You can do it. You can try all you want, and you'll get the diehards to go with you, but you're not getting everybody. The casual sports fan is still going to want football on Sundays. The casual sports fan is still going to watch whatever college football game is on Saturday, because that's how we kind of in America. That's the way the calendar is set up. We know coming up in about a month, Sunday to Monday, Thursday to Monday, whenever they start Thursday Night Football, which I think is week 2, you know what you're doing.
Games on Thursday night.
Okay, yeah.
So
forget what I know what I'm talking about, but forget what I say. It's going to be right around a month from now, and as a teacher, I'm going to probably experience it. We went back to school today, and I've mentioned in one of my classes I was a Bengals fan. And I, in my head, I have the comeback ready. Like, okay, well, who's your team? And if you don't say one of like 2, I can say, oh, we've had more success within the past few years. But guess in my 7th hour, guess what the majority of people are fans of?
If you say Chiefs, I'm really just going to disown your school.
Oh, yeah. Oh, Nico, I was upset too. I was like, you guys realize you're in Colorado, right? And I'm saying this as a guy who's not a Bronco fan.
At least deal with the pain, for fuck's sake. Stop being little bandwagons.
Yeah, we don't need to. I know you love Patrick Mahomes. I don't know why, but we don't need to. You could say he's your favorite player. You don't have to. What else does that team bring to you? Unless you were legit born in Kansas, which a couple of them were. And I felt bad for him.
That's totally fine. And you want to do that? If you have that on your record, then so be it. But like,
if you're just trying to get away from the Broncos factory of sadness that it's been for the last few years, don't jump to the Chiefs. That'd be like me going to the Steelers in the early 2000s when they're winning 2 Super Bowls. And I'm like, oh, yeah, no, I know I like the Bengals, but I can like the Steelers too. No, you can't. No, you can't. There's a few teams that when you're a fan of one team or you live in a place, you can't openly admit that. I was shocked, really, that when they said I'm a Chiefs fan, I didn't have a whole bunch of Broncos fans turn around and start throwing paper at them. Yeah, there was like one other one.
Yeah, what are you doing? Like
he has the same feelings about the Broncos as you do. Because I was like, who is anybody a Broncos fan in here? I am. Oh well, you have about the right attitude for that.
We're Nuggets fans. 23-minute still world champions. Thank you, Jamie, for putting the post up.
Yep, here we go. I was charging my mouse, but I'll get it. I'll get.
Yeah, like I said, we're basketball fans currently. Still, we're hockey and basketball fans. Football season is just the dark time until we get to basketball season.
There we go. It's just in case you weren't aware. They are still
world champions.
We don't care about that summer league title that Cleveland won. Not even thinking about it.
Don't even know what that was. I definitely did not watch every single second of every single minute of every Nuggets summer league game trying to prepare for next season. That's definitely not something I would have ever done. But it's fine. It's fine. It's fine.
No, that's for sure. Since it is, for those of you who know, I am in my 2nd year teaching. Today went smooth. Last year, first day of school, I blacked out. I'll be 100% honest. As soon as I had kids walk into my room at 8:30, because I had first hour off last year, and until they left, I had no recollection of anything that happened. For those of you that are listening that are parents, and we have a few buddies from school, like it's when I compared it to your first kid, and you have it and you're so excited, and they're just a nightmare. They scream, they cry, they're up 8 times in a night. You can't sleep, you can't eat. You're like all worried about this little being that you have to take care of. And you're like, really? Do we want another one? I guess we're having. And then the second one comes out and it's just like, he sleeps all night. He eats when I ask him to. He poops on a regular schedule.
These people are normal. Holy cow.
I could probably do another one of these. I could get 3 going, and that's where you get yourself in trouble. But I'm sure as a 12-year-old, they're not going to be nice and quiet all year long. But I'll take it for as long as I can get it, because at the end of last school year, there was not a lot else happening up in my brain. I was coming home. I was a zombie. I would sit in front of the TV, sit down here for the show, and that was that. I'd get into bed right afterwards. But no, I'm enjoying my second kid. I'm enjoying my second kid for at least now, until they do something. I really don't know. It shocked me. I was up in the front of the classroom. I'm sure if my first few classes were like, why is he seems nervous. We're not doing it. Are we doing any? Oh,
we're not doing anything wrong. Like, we're just acting normal. Like, we're fine. We're normal people. Just leave us alone.
Yeah, you don't have to worry about us. We're good. I'll sit here. I'll fill out. You want me to write? I'll write. Oh, I had to talk people into writing. What's your name? Write it out. Just put your name there. And then you have this thing called a last name too. You have a last name.
That one, and then boom, now you have a full name, and then you're halfway to a sentence already.
No, some of them, it's wild, but it's the life I chose, and I'm super excited about it. So I know that I probably complain a little bit more than I should, but I am excited. We're back. We're back earlier than everybody else in Colorado. I don't know why my school district does it that way. What would you have done if first week of August you're like, oh, we're going back to school? I had 2 months of summer. We basically had 8 weeks. That was it. We got done in June, and we had June, July, and we're back first day of August last week for teaching. Some places wait till Labor Day, no matter what.
It's wild. I'm pretty sure my elementary school was like that. We were like 2 weeks until the end of so the end of August was when we went back to school. So yeah, it's right around the corner. It's wild but I mean, like I said, you got to go out earlier last year, so that was the nice bonus part about it.
Yeah, we'll see how things go. Hopefully, I'm not looking forward to summer by next episode. I thought I was going to, but I'm excited.
A month and you'll be right back there, buddy.
I'm sure. I'm also excited because the weekend, and now we can get into the PLL update. PLL update is brought to you by our newest sponsor here at the Variety Sports Network. Follow them at Variety_Sports_. Subscribe to the YouTube channel. You can watch our episodes both on our show and on their YouTube channel. Old Humble Distilling Whiskey. Go to oldhumbledistilling.com. Use promo code Variety Sports, and VSN will pay for your shipping. I'm sure you can find it I'm not sure where they're based out of, but I'm sure you can find it in liquor stores. But if you have the online option, especially after the pandemic where you can get booze delivered, you take it. Get booze delivered. Use code Variety Sports, and you won't have to pay for. You won't have to pay for everything. Pay for your shipping. But PLL, let's talk first. We'll save Denver and the weekend that you're looking forward to. You maybe give us don't get yourself in trouble, but you might be able to give the people a little bit of a preview as to what to expect. So far in this season, you've been up close and personal with the Redwoods. What's been the rage? What should we know about PLL for people who haven't been paying attention, but they're in Colorado and they know games are coming this week?
For those who've never watched the game, it's the fastest game on 2 feet. Like the ball. Look, if you're a big hockey fan, if you're a big soccer fan, it's those two combined, literally together. That's the best way I can put it. It's the fast pacedness of the basketball court, moving up and down the field, the ball zipping across the field. It's the flashiness of hockey with the one-handed goals, the behind the backs, the no look passes, no look shots, all that kind of stuff. And then you have the the elegantness of soccer of defenders putting their nose to the ground, putting them in a position to make sure the other guy has a difficult time, and also the roughness of hockey as well. Like the you watch some of these highlights of guys laying the wood on one another. Yeah, that hurts. That hurts. If you didn't watch our game last week, it was on ABC. Yeah, lacrosse on ABC. It's a channel everyone has. Okay, is all I'll say, and that's something that has not happened in a very long time. And luckily the PLL has that with ESPN. But it is, like I said, it is a fast-paced game, and you will see some of the most skilled moves you will ever see in terms of how guys maneuver the ball, how they pass the ball, how they shoot the ball. It is a sport that, like I said, if you're watching it casually, like, it is very entertaining to watch. If you do on the cross during the World Championship games, and I believe it was June / beginning of July, the best way I can say is this game is much faster. The PLL has a 2-point arc. It's a shorter field. Is a shorter shot clock, which may or may not be a detriment to the league. We can talk about that here in a little bit. And there's a lot of different things to it that make it such a fast-paced game that everyone can just follow along very easily. And the PLL does a great job with graphics and explaining how things are done. Because, like I said, it's a new sport. It's not actually. I take it back. It's not a new sport. It's a new sport to the common public in germs. Because obviously, like the Indians were playing this game before England got here. Like it is one of the longest standing games in North America. So it is something that I obviously hold dear to my heart. And no matter who you're a team of, except maybe one of the teams who've had probably the worst season of the year, it is going to be very, very entertaining sport to watch. And like I said, if you don't have ESPN Plus, I would highly recommend it. But playoffs will be on ABC. We aren't on ABC this week, but you follow PLL on Twitter, follow the Redwoods, follow whoever on Twitter, because the uniforms, the logos, all that shit is just absolutely nuts. And no one has done marketing better than the PLL in its now 5th year of existence.
And they are taking a big step into that history of the game. When they were in Minneapolis, we talked about the other Thompson, not Lyle, but his brother. What's his name again?
Thompson.
Jeremy Thompson was there. He talked about the Native American and the Native indigenous people's sticks that they would use. The different tribes had different sticks. I mentioned that used to be how they would settle warfare. Instead of killing each other, let's play a game of lacrosse. Whoever wins gets to keep whatever territory or controls the trade of a certain region. And they do a great job. Like when you watch a PLL game, they don't ever just say that within the last 5 years, this is when the sport came about. These are players. And when Rabel was there, they talked plenty about how he was the Jordan of the last professional lacrosse. Yeah. And now it just continues to grow. And if you're trying to learn these first few seasons of the PLL, until it gets too far established where they don't have to worry about showing you the rules and showing you the history, this is the time to learn. And it's growing as a youth sport. It's growing as a high school sport. It's into colleges. A lot of people are watching the NCAA championships now. It's still run through ESPN. Like there's a ton of different ways to be exposed to it. They're taking it the right way. Like you don't need to be exclusive right now. We don't need to be exclusively the big brand. We don't need to be the only league here. A lot of the guys, and correct me if I'm wrong, when the PLL season is over, they play in the indoor league, right?
Yeah, they play in the indoor league, where a lot of guys work on the stock market. Like that's the unfortunate part about it, is these guys aren't full-time professional athletes, which is one of the goals, obviously, that APL is trying to get to. But yeah, these guys are multifaceted in so many different ways in the indoor game. And like I said, I'm not the biggest fan of the indoor game because I was never good at the indoor game, to be honest with you. I always played with a long pole in my hand. Pause on that, but like I just never was good with the short stick. Pause on that again. And so that's why I like the outdoor game and a lot more physicality to it. But yeah, the indoor game and outdoor game has grown so much. And obviously the indoor game here, we have a team that's won the championship 4 times in its existence. Obviously last year being the most recent in the Colorado Mammoth. Like it's like I said, it's a sport that is very easily accessible. And yeah, it has the same amount of equipment nearly as hockey does. But it's stuff that you can just do at home, that you can find little to do kits that are very easy to get a stick in your hand and find a net, literally a hockey net. I grew up shooting on a hockey net. Like that's just how it was. My parents, we don't need a lacrosse net. Let's just buy a hockey net and it'll work. And that's how I learned. It's very, like I said, very accessible, very easy to pick up. And for those that, and Jimmy will know this firsthand, is like, yeah, it's a little confusing at first, but the way the announcers and the way the game is set up and the way that the game flow of the game goes, it's very easy to realize what's going on at one time. And like I said, you think of it like a hockey game, think of it like a soccer match. Like that's the best way to think about it. And going forward and trying to explain and trying to get a handle on what the PLL is all about.
And it's a game too that can be distributed in so many ways. Like in the future, there could be PLL on the radio, just like there's hockey, basketball, and football on the radio, because there's enough action. If you get the guys that are going, people will listen if they can't watch. If you want to turn it on, they're doing crazy stuff. They're hitting people as hard as they can. Fights are allowed. So if you're a hockey fan and you're saying there's not enough fights in hockey, well, let's go to PLL, where they haven't necessarily taken the steps to eliminate that. They're actually probably more encouraging it.
There hasn't been fights, but the MLL actually does the hockey drop the gloves. PLL has not. We try to
They try, but there's still players that throw. People are still swinging with guys that have helmets on, just like they do in the NFL. And it translates on social media, which is the biggest thing right now for sports. If you can get clips out and clips that go viral, something that can get a lot of interaction, that helps. And not only are the players doing their part by being entertaining and putting on as much as they can, the coaches are getting involved. Everybody, it's an intense atmosphere.
Giving sound bites that everyone can start laughing at. Like the sponsorships flow in. Everything is everything is set up for the PLL to succeed, is all I'll say.
I would agree with you. Let's talk about that trade you mentioned, because if you're going to the games this weekend in Colorado, there will be new people on different teams. Nico knows specifically the Redwoods, and I'm going to give him the floor to kind of talk about that, and then I'll ask the questions that I have about this weekend and what I should be expecting at the festival. What should I bring? Is it like an MLB game where I should bring a glove? Should I bring a stick? Do I have to go buy a lacrosse stick? But let's talk about the trade first. And some of the player movement that's been going around. Is there a trade deadline, or there
is a trade deadline? It's the last weekend of the season, which is weird. It's the Tuesday, I believe, Monday or Tuesday before the last week of the season. This is the biggest trade that's happened in a while. In terms of top player, not necessarily top player, but top recognizable name movement in a while. I want to say since Rob Pannell was traded to us 2 years ago, this is the biggest name movement we've seen in a while. And obviously with the Redwoods, if you don't know who Miles Jones is, he's a guy who looks like he should be an NFL tight end. That's how big he is. That's how strong he is. That's how physically empowering he is. He is a man amongst boys. Obviously, he has not had the year he wanted to, leading to the past couple of weeks him not being on the 19-man roster. My team, the Redwoods, we traded Miles Jones over to the Atlas, which is a team that has the second worst record when we have the third worst record in the league. Second worst record in the Atlas, which we received Romar Dennis. Romar Dennis is a guy who's long tenured lacrosse player, over 10 years in the league, a guy that not too long ago, back in February, was the PLL Championship Series MVP of the Sixes. When they played in I believe it was Philadelphia, when they played that Sixes tournament on ESPN, that was basically a basketball game. If you don't know what I'm talking about, go listen to a previous episode. I talked about briefly, very briefly. But the guy can hit two balls. Romar is a very, very good leader, very, very big locker room guy as well, that I'm very, very excited to have him a part of the team. The guy, like I said, we're the only team in the league that doesn't have a 2-point ball, which is fucking crazy. Absolutely crazy that we are 7 games in and someone hasn't hold up a 2 yet after you shoot it. Like it's like 3 to the head, but like it's the 2 ball. Like we haven't hit one yet. And that obviously may have been a detriment. And when you've lost 3 in a row and 4 of your last 5, it's time to make some tough decisions. And obviously Miles is a hell of a player and a great person. I was so excited to get to work with him and meet with him, but Sometimes you have to make those tough decisions when trying to make that next push. And Miles Jones, like I said, great player, absolutely incredible person. But the fit was just no longer here with the Redwoods, and I hope to see him succeed with the Atlas. Absolutely. And in terms of what we're getting back with Romar, like I said, I'm expecting leadership. I'm expecting a lot more offensive speed and dynamic offense that he can bring to the team. So I'm very, very excited what Romar can bring to this team. And like I said, this weekend is a big one. We're playing the Cannons, who just whipped our ass 2 weeks ago in Dallas. Hopefully we get back on track and can try to get this season to a point where we're feeling confident going into the playoffs, because look, it'd take a miracle for us not to make the playoffs at this point after what another team has done this season, the Chrome, who's just not looked great at all. So hopefully our boys can turn around this week.
That is, you're a professional league when you start having those adult conversations. As much as you like guys, if it's not working and you can make a move, make that move. Looking at the standings here, Archers, Cannons, Chaos, Water Dogs, the top half of the league. Then you got the Whip Snakes, the Redwoods, both 3 and 4. The Atlas are 2 and 5, and the Chrome are 1 and 6 with a -23 goal differential. I don't know much about lacrosse, but I know that ain't good.
No,
that ain't good at all.
We are -17 goal differentials currently, so it's not much.
I didn't want to bring it up. I'm glad you brought it up.
I'll bring it up. Yeah, I know. It doesn't get better each week when we're losing. So the differential does not change.
Yeah, I don't want to go into the weekend with any angry fans, but what else am I going to say? Like, my team is in the top half of the league.
Your team now? Your team still? Okay.
Do I have a Redwoods piece of memorabilia yet? No.
I told you I would be.
Do I have Water Dogs memorabilia yet? No, I do not.
Exactly. I can change that very quickly, is all I'll say. I can change that very quickly. I got way too much shit in my closet currently, so I can snag you something. Don't worry.
It just fell off the back of the truck. Don't worry. My cousin got it. If my cousin has a deal for you, don't worry about it. Just take the merchandise. I'm going to sit down with the Redwoods Godfather.
Now that we have a new player, I will have to give him some gear. So I will be running low on XLs very shortly. So that's all I'll say.
Yes. If you put me in an XL, you're giving the people too much of a show. So.
That's not so fair.
Do lacrosse players wear 2Xs? Are they big enough?
My team does. We had 5 players that wore double X's being a thing. Miles, Sergio, Garrett Apple, Glazner. We have a tall team, a very tall team. So it's not that big of a surprise.
That's funny that it's because they're tall, because I don't wear a 2X because I'm tall.
I wasn't going to go that far.
I'm not out of shape, but I am. If you stand me and a lacrosse player next to each other, you're going to see my shoulders more than likely, because I grew this way as an offensive lineman. I didn't grow this way as a basketball player or a lacrosse guy. I didn't need any extra leverage. I was a center. I'm good where I'm at. About 6 foot. We don't have to be honest. About 6 foot. How tall are you? I'm about 6 foot. If I wear my cowboy boots or my Hoka shoes, I'm 6'1".
Exactly. I'm 6'1", or I'm 6 foot. And that's about as pushing it as possible is all I'll say.
Don't ask my doctor. Don't ask my doctor,
don't
please.
Ask her either.
And don't look at my lineage. If you see that I'm Italian, you'll know that I'm lying. We don't have
or your family, and for that part, that does not help it either.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I'm the only one that's struggling to reach that 6 foot threshold as a man in my family.
That's also fair. That is also fair.
I know you're in a similar. Well, I don't know your older brothers. I don't know. I know them, but I haven't necessarily seen them.
Yeah, they're about the same height, a little bit taller.
That's what I figured. We're not big people. We don't have to be. Why would I need? I'd be out of the frame.
5'10" is the norm. Okay, 5'10" is average for a human being, I believe, or maybe it was 5'8". Either way, we're above average. Okay.
At least this isn't what you see. This isn't what you see every week. It's not. I don't get bleeped out by my name and everything. This is about where I need to be. I don't need to be all the way out. If I was 6 foot, or 6'5", this is how the show would be. Or I'd be all the way back in the corner.
We would never want that. Exactly. So 6 foot is perfectly fine how it is.
I need you to record that, and I need to send that to all of my ex-girlfriends, Nico.
That's probably not a good idea, but I'll let you decide on that.
Yeah. All right. Let's go. Let's talk about the NFL.
Do you have any questions for me?
Oh yes, yeah. When do I need to show up? When would you recommend showing up?
The first game's at 5. So if you want to watch the Water Dogs play, I'd recommend the gates open at 4. I believe. I can double check me on that. I can double check on that, but I'm almost positive the first game's at 5 because we're at 7:30. So I'm recommending people to get there 15, 20 minutes early, like you would for a normal sporting event, because like I said, warm-ups are fun. You get there for warm-ups. If you're a little kid, you more than likely will yell ball at my face more than 100 times. I didn't bring a clicker last week on my hand to count how many times I heard ball. Hey, ball, sir. I like your mustache, ball. Like it was just constantly. It's like I said, it's seagulls making noises basically, and like I said, the whole atmosphere is great. Store is awesome. I'm not sure if the Bar Down Lounge is there this weekend, but Bar Down Lounge is something is a lot of fun. It's basically like a little party deck is the best way to put it. It's the party deck. I'm not sure if they have that this weekend, but they did back east, and it's a great time. Like I said, it's a great time seeing all the games, being there in person, seeing all the action going on. Like I said, there's not a bad seat in the house at Peter Barton Stadium at DU. And like I said, you're going to see some of the best uniforms. And as you're listening to this, uniforms already been released. These are some of the nicest uniforms you'll ever see across any sport. Like the mesh, the logos, the numbers, the lettering. It's just beautiful.
I'm planning on taking the light rail. Do you have any other suggestions? Downtown Denver is hard enough for me to park my truck.
You're not going downtown is the other thing, which makes life a little bit easier. Like being at DU is a little bit nicer because you're south side of Denver. But like I said, if you want to drive, parking is limited. I will also say that with DU. So light rail is not a bad option. In terms of what you bring, really don't need to bring anything. If you want to feel cocky, bring a Sharpie, because guys sign stuff all the time after games. Like the whole team will go around sign stuff for everybody. So anybody that has any piece of memorabilia, a hat, shirt, ball, whatever you want, they'll sign it. So bring a Sharpie, and that's about it.
All right. Those are my two big things. When do I need to be there? I want to get the full festival experience because I'm sure Colorado's going to always be on the rotation, but this is like the first time I can remember where it's going to be in a spot that's easy to get to. I'm able to go because we have, your connections now. So I appreciate that. And if you're going this weekend and you're a bench warmer, if you just stumble across our show or our social media, come say hi. I'll be out there. I'm trying to get the full experience. So if you want to, more than welcome to come up and say hi and all of that stuff. I'm looking forward to. I'm hoping that I'm a good luck charm because then you got to fly me with you.
It would be very nice if you were a good luck charm, is all I'll say. Because anything would be nice to turn around. I will be wearing any fucking voodoo I can to break this 3-game losing streak, is all I'll say. And I will say one more thing. Last weekend at Homewood Field, it was amazing. I like I said, I was Johns Hopkins fans growing up. Baltimore is. Look, Johns Hopkins is one of a kind. I am not going to write down Baltimore as a place that I want to go to back and visit necessarily, but because the city is a little interesting, is all I'll say. But the Johns Hopkins University obviously is a beautiful campus, and being at a place where lacrosse is one of the forefronts is incredible to see, obviously. And it's weird because, look, it's a D3 school. People forget it's a D3 school. They're D1 in 2 sports. Men's and women's lacrosse. That's all you need to know, okay?
Yeah, people go there to become doctors. They don't go there to become athletes.
They do not come there for lacrosse. They don't go there for anything. Lacrosse and be a doctor. That's all they go there for. Not for football, not basketball, not anything else. They go to play school there, okay, is all I'll say.
Yeah, they go to play school. We're going to take a quick break. I got to jump off real quick, but we're going to play one of our old trailers.
We'll take a quick break. We'll get a trailer back here in a second. We'll meet you guys on the other side.
If you don't stay down and you never quit, come on over here and sit on the far end of the bench.
What's up, Benchwarmers? Welcome into episode 119 of the Far End of the Bench podcast. Jimmy Pilato, Nico Bryant. We are through college football's regular season. We have a lot of that to talk about tonight as you're listening to this podcast. We're going to get into it. We mentioned it a couple of times, but it might as well, doesn't hurt to say it one more time. Far End of the Bench, third annual Pick'em College Bowl Pick'em show with Jeremy Fear, Dominic Pilato, all coming back. It's going to be the band back together again, and it is going to be streaming live. That's right. You heard that. Live on our YouTube channel, our social media pages at FEOTB Pod. Subscribe to our YouTube channel. Subscribe to the Variety Sports Network at Variety_Sports_. Follow them on their social medias as well. We'll talk in this episode hockey. We talk a little bit of World Cup. I tell one of my favorite stories from school. I used Will Ferrell to teach social studies. Who would have thought I'd be able to do that? World Cup recap. And then obviously we get into our NFL pick'em before gearing up for a big night tonight. So hopefully everybody, as you're listening to this, you're already followed on your favorite podcasting platform. You're subscribed, leave a like, notification, comment, all that good stuff. Let us know what you think of the show. And you're going to hear Nico yell at me a little bit for saying this word, but are we ready to ride, Nico? Let's ride, buddy.
Jimmy, I'm done riding. Okay. I'm done riding.
Nico, I dress like an idiot for this. Let me just say, let's ride.
I'll tell you one thing. I will get back on track and I will win the pick'em this year, next year. This year. Don't you worry about that. I will come back, but because I'm an idiot going live, so you're going to want to make sure you tune in to listen to my idiotic takes, because my idiotic takes coming out live even sound worse than they are right now. Because I'll tell you right now, my takes on the Broncos aren't good. And you know what? They're going to be much better for the pick'em. So you better listen to that and the rest of this.
At FEOTV Pod, Variety Sports, or Far End of the Bench YouTube channel, 7 p.m. Mountain Standard Time, Thursday night. Be there live for the College Football Pick'em Show.
If you don't stay down and you never quit, come on over here and sit on the far end of the bench.
All right. My body is tired, if you can't tell. If you're watching on the YouTube channel, I got the hat on. I've already taken my second shower of the day because I got home from school and was just exhausted. So thank you guys. Check out the old episodes. Subscribe if you're new. We have all those old episodes back. It's time to talk some football. We're here. It's time to talk.
We avoided this for as long as possible, or I tried to, but I guess now the preseason started, I can start talking about it.
And we're also going to save our teams for towards the end. I'm not talking about the West because that's where the Super Bowl champion is. I'm not going to talk about the North because that's where I'm hoping the next Super Bowl champion comes from. And we'll go basically in ascending order. What I think was the worst section of both the AFC and the NFC, and then up to what I think is the best. So starting in the South, and I did take the time. I got the NFL standings from last year pulled up. So if we look at the AFC South, the last standings, Jacksonville won the division, ended up winning a playoff game in that epic comeback over the Chargers. Tennessee took second. So Jacksonville finished with a 9-8 record. Tennessee 7-10 and finished the year on a pretty bad losing streak. Then you got Indianapolis and Houston, who basically were out of it from the start. Indianapolis finished with a 4-12-1 record. Houston 3-13-1, and they actually tied each other for as bad as that division was. So of those teams, who do you expect the least from? Who do you think is maybe going to make a turnaround? Who would you pencil in as the division champion? Is it going to be Jacksonville? Are they going to repeat? Or is it one of these other teams that are hopefully trying to reload and retool and get back up there?
If I'm being honest with you, I think I might have actually predicted Jacksonville to be the division champ last year. I don't remember that off the top of my head, but I was very high on Jacksonville last year, and I'm even higher on them this year. I think that what they with the addition of Calvin Ridley, and I think the addition defensively, it's Jacksonville's division to lose. It really is. I think the Colts. I think Colts still have so many question marks, way too many question marks. Who knows what the Tennessee Titans will be? Houston Texans are probably still 2-3 years away from getting back to where they could be. They could be interesting. But I think, like I said, I think it's Jacksonville's to lose. Absolutely is. And I think the emergence of Trevor Lawrence. We look at guys that third-year quarterbacks, the guys that take a big step in year 2, but the third year is where they flourish. Joe Burrow, Patrick Mahomes. You can go down the list of names of guys that you're like, yeah, they scratch the surface in year 2. But year 3 is the year where they become one of the elite of the elite. Josh Allen will exactly. And I think Trevor Lawrence is going to join that group this year. I really do. I think, like I said, I think offensively things are just opening up so much more for him with Ridley and with these offensive weapons, getting Evan Ingram back, getting ETN a full season underneath his belt now. You name it, he's got it. Like they bolster up the offensive line this offseason too. Like I really hard to find. Maybe their defense is the one thing lacking still. I think they still could use some better depth. Hopefully their number 1 pick last year, I think it's Trayvon Walker. I think that was his name. Can be a very, very good pass rusher for them and be a top pass rusher in his division. But I have all the faith in the world in Jacksonville Jaguars, a team that, in terms of, I think they'll take that spiral down as Indianapolis Colts. I think Anthony Richardson is going to be a good project. And like I said, a good project. That's literally all it's going to be. Jonathan Taylor has not reported to camp yet. He's apparently on a medical leave. Who is he going to throw the ball to? Austin Collie, is he there? I don't know. I don't know Colts receivers' names anymore. T.Y. Hilton, is he there? I don't know.
Nope. He's out of the league.
Jr.? Michael Pittman Jr., is he there still, or is he suspended for betting on his own team? I don't know with this Colts team. I think that's going to be the biggest drop off. They lose Bobby Okereke. They lose all these names defensively. Like, the Colts will be the worst team in this division, in my opinion. And I don't think it'll be close. I think, look, unless they decide that they're going to start Minshew, or because I think Minshew is the other quarterback there right now. I forgot who the veteran quarterback was they re-signed, but they signed. But I think the Colts are a team that's looking towards next year already, and I think the Jaguars is their division lose. When it comes to the Texans, I really do think C.J. Stroud and I think Will Anderson will be one of the top 2, like will be two of the top players in this past year's draft and going forward. I really think they have all the makings of being very, very good players, especially Will Anderson. But it's going to take some time. It really is going to take some time for them to take that next step. So I think, look, if I was ranking, I think it goes basically the same as last year, but slightly different. Jacksonville, Tennessee. Who knows what Tennessee will be? Vrabel always has those guys playing hard. I don't think they'll fight for a playoff position because they always will because they're just built like that. And then I'd go Houston, and then I'd go Colts, worst team in the division.
Yeah, it's amazing what a coach and quarterback combo that you trust can do. And I don't know, did you see the most recent story that came out about Urban Meyer's time down there in Jacksonville? One of the players was asked how he thinks the season is going to go.
The guy that went to that we played in the playoffs, Ralston Valley, Andrew Wingard. He went to Ralston Valley here in Colorado, went to Wyoming, and
He's saying that it's Urban Meyer's first season as an NFL head coach. He called him a rookie head coach and then was called and said, listen, you got to say that. Why are you saying this? I will cut your ass. I am not a rookie. Do not call me a rookie. And then we all know what happened. Barely made it through 10 weeks. Everybody thought 10 weeks was too long.
What an absolute joke. I'm so glad that for Trevor Lawrence's sake, that they got rid of him so quickly.
Yeah,
it would be great things for that team. What an absolute freaking horrific hire that was.
As bad as we've seen up close and personal, there's nothing that will really ever top that. Well, Indianapolis hiring Jeff Saturday for a week,
or the guy who has a goatee now works for the Jets here too, kind of down play clock. That also. Yeah, there was a lot of great coaching last year, Jimmy. A lot of great coaching. One of the best coaching jobs of the season I've ever seen, right?
Have you seen that clip of Ted Lasso where he's trying to explain how he settled on his mustache? And he's like, I used to try, I could never grow a beard, but I tried to be a goatee guy. And Coach Beard told me, you remember what she told me? Your goatee makes you look like you ate Honey Boo Boo's ass. That's Nathaniel Hackett's goatee right now. It's bushy in the wrong places. I grew up with a man who had a goatee for my entire life. And that ain't what a goatee is supposed to look like.
Not what it should look like at all.
If it's bushy, you're doing it wrong. Just like a lot of things. Pause. But if it's bushy, you're doing it wrong.
You're absolutely wrong.
I also like the Jim Irsay stuff. The whole
Ursay is going to be Ursay fucking put $3 million on goddamn taking an orca from SeaWorld over to the Pacific Ocean.
I thought it
But
was
he,
20. I
but
thought he said it was
whatever,
going to
I
be
don't,
20 million.
however stupid amount of money it was, and he won't pay Jonathan Taylor. That was the funny meme of last week. I think it was, or the end of last week. That was like, yeah, Ursay will pay for an orca, but he will not pay his top 3 running back when healthy in the league.
Yeah,
That's
and
the point where they're at.
his negotiating tactic was so why would imagine you're sitting down with your boss and you ask for a raise or get paid. I wouldn't even say it's a raise, but I agree with you. He's a great running back when he's healthy. So if you get him on the field, if you take care of him, he could do things for you. But you're like, I just want to get paid what I'm worth. Well, when you're gone, when you're dead and I'm dead, nobody's really going to care about us at the company. So why would I give you that money?
Okay, but who cares about like Ursay is just an absolute clown. He's like there's hope. There's a hope, being hopeful for being hopeful for a new contract and a negotiating process, and there's being like, who the fuck am I working with? Like who do
Can
you
you stop playing your acoustic guitar during our contract negotiations for 5 minutes? That's all I'm asking for.
Like they
5 minutes.
they better hope Anthony Richardson is all that in a box of cookies. Is all I'll say. Because like I said, Anthony Richardson, look, he looks like an athletic freak, but dunking a basketball has no correlation to throwing a damn football and reading a coverage. Okay, I hate to tell you that, but
Throwing routes on air does also not mean you're going to be a great quarterback, because that was the clip going around last week where he rolls, stops, and throws it 80 yards when they're in helmets. And he's got like 3 defenders that are over there. You can tell like they're doing. And if I was the Colts, I'd be doing the same thing, because you want people to be invested. You got to sell tickets somehow. We drafted this guy in the top 5, and he's considered one of the best athletes of the last few years to come out of college. We should see something from him. And if we're going to see something from him, it's going to be his best play. It's not like they're going to be putting out there when he throws a pick 6. Teams are specific about what clips they post. So the Colts, you can say that it looks great and you could be excited, but now that Dan Snyder's no longer an NFL owner, you have the worst owner in the NFL.
I don't know about that.
Who would you put lower than him?
I would have to come on the list, but Irsay does throw a lot of money at his team. There's organizations that don't throw any money at their team, and I will say that's the difference. And yeah, look, it's not great money to their best players, and yeah, he's an idiot at times, but I do think that there are some other incompetent owners worse than him. I would not put Irsay as the worst. I'd put him lower half of 15 out of 30. I would not put him like last 5. I can't think off the top of my head all the owners' names because who the fuck cares? But I would not put him at last.
It's hard for me because as a guy with an owner who used to be the frugalist in the NFL, like we're just now building an indoor facility in Cincinnati, there's a difference between just not spending money and spending money in the wrong places. And when you spend money in the wrong places, it's worse than when you don't spend money, because you just put yourself further and further behind the 8 ball. How are we going to cover? Really, I bet you they're not paying Jonathan Taylor, because how are we legitimately going to cover the money that we're going to put in your contract? Because nobody's going to come watch us play. Who wants to go watch us tie Houston and barely get over anybody else in the league? We won 3 games last year, and I think they've won a total of like 15, maybe 20 over the last 3 seasons, and a lot of those were Phillip Rivers. Phillip fucking Rivers.
Phillip Rivers / Matt Ryan, which is 2 quarterbacks that currently are. One's on his 13th kid, and the other one is a coach now. So like that's all you need to know. Okay, I like I said, I that's why my expectations is so low. And I saw something where that had a great point on this running back to bulk. I don't mean to sidetrack off this, but when you're talking about this bad of a division, top to or bottom, this bad of a division at the bottom of it, you have to sidetrack a little bit. One thing that really hurt this running back market is Le'Veon Bell and James Conner. If James Conner didn't fucking ball out after Le'Veon Bell held out, this would have never happened. Like think about that. That contract that Le'Veon Bell got with the Jets fucked everybody. Everybody. It really did. Like James Conner was a replacement, and he became a top 5 running back for 1 year. And look, he fell down hard quickly. After that, I could not name you one running back that got paid what he was worth after that debacle. Back in 2018, maybe 2019. I forgot what year it was. That whole thing goes down, everything changes for the running back market. And like I said, it's weird because the age of running backs having more than 5 years on their tenure is rare. The only one in the league right now is what? Derrick Henry? That's the only one, I think. Maybe Nick Chubb. I think Nick Chubb and Derrick Henry, those are the two outliers. Like, every other running back has been drafted within the last 4 years, I want to say. Like, you think of the Todd Gurley's, you think of the Le'Veon Bells, you think of all these great running backs in the late 2010s. There's no reason why in 2023, 4 years removed from that decade, that they should not still be in the league. Like that's wild to me. And yeah, maybe it's because of the wear and tear of the position and how physically demanding of the sport has become. But running backs need to go get theirs, plain and simple. The only guy that's really done good with making sure he gets his is Christian McCaffrey. That's because he literally can do everything. He threw, he caught, and he ran a touchdown in on his first game ever with the 49ers this year, okay? That's not a running back. That's literally what we call in the fantasy football word a flex. Just do whatever, plain and simple. And if you can't do whatever, you can't do these other things, you're gonna die out of the league, unfortunately. That's the crazy part about it. Jonathan Taylor had one great year, and now he's off a full season of missing it due to an injury. Who knows what he's going to look like? And to be honest with you, if I was the Colts, I would also consider not doing it either. Like with how bad how bad running backs look after, I believe it was an ACL tear. I may be wrong on that. How bad running backs look after ACL tears, especially I'm running into one here in Denver with Javonte Williams now. It's like how much run and gun will this guy have? Like how stable will this guy be going forward? Will I be willing to pay off this 4-year over or double digit per year contract that I'm about to fork over? Will that come back to bite me in the ass in 4 years when, say, Anthony Richardson is the next big thing, and he is the answer to everything, and you don't run out of money, and you'll have to lose defenders, you'll have to lose receivers, hell, you have to lose offensive linemen. Like that's the sad part is the running back position is just, unfortunately, has been a position where it's a revolving door, and they can absolutely do that because of how good college running backs have become, and it's not a slight to them because of that. It's a slight to how the NFL pays their players, unfortunately.
Well, too, I mean, it's not based off of fantasy football, but you brought it up. Chris McCaffrey's kind of like the real life flex. What's your least favorite position to draft in fantasy football right now? I can tell you mine. It's running back. I thought that I did a good thing. I thought I stole Cam Akers last season, and Cam Akers scored a total of like 18 points in the entire 17-week season. I dropped him after week 4 because we really don't – it's hard to predict what running back is going to have a good year, what running back is going to have a bounce back, breakout, whatever. It could be anybody. Like the last few Super Bowl champions have not won with premier running backs.
No, the last premier running back to win the Super Bowl was Marshawn Lynch. Think about it, right? Like we could go down the list of the past Super Bowl winners. You cannot name a better running back than Marshawn Lynch since that Seattle Super Bowl where he literally didn't do much. Like he really didn't do much because of how bad the Broncos were against him. Like seriously, it's wild, but it's true. The running back position is a revolving door.
It's Achilles' heel too, because they can go from it's great to have a running back, especially if you're up late in the game to close something out. But let's think about the last time the Broncos came really close to breaking that streak against the Chiefs. What position had the ball and fumbled and allowed the Chiefs to be able to take over and win that game? The damn running back. He had fumble issues before that, and we continue to put him out there. It's the Achilles heel. They're either going
to – after that.
It's very similar, and funny enough, it's very similar to how people view offensive linemen. If you're doing your job, that's status quo. If you're doing your job better than anybody else, that's status quo. You're a left tackle, you didn't give up a sack, great. You have one bad thing that happens, you fumble a ball one time, you give up one sack. That is all anybody will talk about for the entire week, is how you can't hold your water, how you can't not draw penalties, how you can't hold on to the football. That's the way that this is going, and at least offensive linemen get paid what they should.
Oh, that's the one positive is like some of that money has really gone to the offensive line because people have realized, if you have a good offensive line, who the fuck cares who's back there? Just hold on the ball and give me 3 yards / 4 yards. I don't care what the name or the number on the back of the jersey says. Like if I have good guys in front and I have a guy who can hand them the ball, then the running back position has become neutralized. That's the weird thing about it.
Let's anything else that you want to talk about for the AFC South? Or are you ready to move to the NFC? And if people get mad at me, if you're a fan of the teams in either of these divisions, and you're mad at me for saying you're the two worst divisions from last year in football, both division champions last year, Jacksonville finished one game above 500, and then Tampa went 8-9 and won the NFC South. So these are truly the two worst divisions from last season. They might not be this year, but if we're going based off of recency bias, these are them. Anything else on the AFC South?
I like I said, I think the Texans. Look, it's weird saying this, but I think I don't know how I feel about Anthony Richardson yet. We'll see what I feel about him after the year end. But I think that this will be the Jaguars and Texans division for the next decade. That's weird saying that. It's very weird saying that. But I don't think Levis. I don't think Malik Willis can take those reins for Tennessee, and I think Tennessee will die a slow death and never have never reached the top. But I do think Jacksonville and Houston will set themselves up perfectly for a great future.
All right, moving on to the NFC side. NFC South standings, Tampa Bay won it with an 8-9 record. Carolina, New Orleans, and Atlanta all finished 7-10. We got a little bit of an extra inside look at Atlanta's season from last year watching the QB show until Marcus Mariota decided he was no longer going to play for the team.
I did not watch that show.
I know. We as in me and the voices in my head.
Boycotted that show, just making sure that the listeners are very aware. I do not condone watching any bit of Patrick Mahomes.
We as in me watched the QB show and saw exactly what Atlanta at times looked like they could. Everything was up for grabs in the NFC South last year. There were times where we said the Saints should win it. There were times where we said Tampa might as well come back and win it. There were times where we said that Atlanta could. And Carolina was right there the entire time, too. You had, as bad as that was, all of the teams that didn't win the division finished with the same record. So you beat the shit out of each other. I'm pretty sure everybody went 1-1 in the division. Nobody had a sweep, which is kind of how things are set up. They played awfully against everybody else. That they
the worst football in the league. Like these four teams are. I find it hard to believe that. Look, I will second guess myself here because fucking underdogs always somehow find a way to win playoff games at home. But like I think it's hard to believe that a team will have a winning record in this division. I'm serious. I find it very hard to believe that a team like a Saints can go above 8-9. Like I really think that's pushing daisies. I really do. Like, and that may be the best team in the division. Who knows? Maybe it's the fucking Buccaneers with Baker Mayfield revival tour. I don't know, but like I find it very hard to believe a team will go above 8-9. I know we have a show on the network that's Atlanta Falcons team. I think they'd be thrilled with 8-9 with Desmond Ridder at the helm. Okay,
8-9 and a chance to win the division in Week 17. Fuck yeah!
I think they'd be very happy with that.
Give it to me. Give it to me. I want a playoff game in the Georgia Dome. It's truly awful. And I know this firsthand because my team, the AFC North and the NFC South played each other last year. So I played all four of these teams. Tampa Bay had like a 20-point lead going into halftime, and the Bengals scored 38 unanswered points and won by 18. They dominated the Falcons, and they dominated the Panthers, and I don't even remember the Saints game, which is how much it stuck out. But I'm pretty sure that the Bengals won because the Bengals did a lot of winning last year, and the NFC South was not the road bump like the AFC West or the AFC East and these other teams.
Yeah,
so
NFC East, like that's funny. We called it the NFC Least when we started the show. It's the NFC Beast.
It was. And then they had like 5 years of number one overall draft picks, and Philly was like, oh, Georgia's the number one team in college football? Give me all the Georgia Bulldogs.
Whoever you can. And look, the NFC South is as a team that won the Super Bowl less than 3 years ago, but they are far, far, far from that point now, is all I'll say.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So predictions: who's winning? Do you stick it at Atlanta, or are you just gonna go with whoever?
I'm gonna go the Saints. The best quarterback in the division, Derek Carr. It's fucking weird saying that, but it's not wrong. Can you make an argument against that?
No.
Exactly. That's all, exactly. You can't make an argument against that. And the dude has a 37-year-old plane driving new pilot Jimmy Graham back as his number one tight end. That was a fun little signing. The Saints will win this division. They're a much better coach team. Dennis Allen is a much better coach than any of these coaches. To be honest with you, that's weird saying that, but he is.
We're not going to be in solidarity with Arthur Smith since he has our facial hairstyle now.
Hey, the stash looks good. I will say that. I will pick Atlanta to go second. I do think that Bijan Robinson, I think, could take the next step. I think Drake London.
Good.
I think Drake London will take a big leap in year two. I think who knows what Kyle Pitts will be. That looks like the worst draft pick of all time, drafting a tight end 5th overall. But I think that they bolstered up their defense too. I think, like I said, I think they're shooting for the division. I think they see that it's up for grabs. I really do, and I think they have a chance to get back to relevancy with a young core group, which is awesome to see. I think that if they take this year and they got Caleb Williams, this could be the team in the NFC for the next in 3 years. Like I'm serious with saying that. You put Caleb Williams with Bijan Robinson, Jake London, Pitts offensively, and then you build a good core defense. That'd be fucking a badass team, is all I'll say. But they're not in the form of tanking unless they trade up, is all I'll say for Caleb Williams. But yeah, I'll put Saints, I'll put Falcons 2. I'll put Tampa Bay 3rd. I think that they for whatever reason, like the guys on the team won't make them go last. I think Carolina will be the worst team still. I still don't know what Carolina's – look, Bryce Young, I think he'll be a very good quarterback. I wouldn't say very good, but I think he'll be a very suitable quarterback. I think he'll have a lot of bumps and bruises in his rookie year. But Carolina they just don't have an identity yet, and that's why I think Tampa Bay will have a slight edge in terms of that category. And it's not a big edge, but I do think Baker Mayfield – God, I hate myself for saying this. I think Baker Mayfield can keep them in position to possibly win the division. I think, like I said, and as weird as that sounds, I think it's not necessarily him. I think it's Mike Evans, Chris Godwin, and I think it's that offensive line that's still not too bad with getting Ryan Jensen back and getting Morris healthy. So that will help him enough to get them in a position where the last 3 weeks of the season, they're in position to possibly make the playoffs. But it's only because of winning your division is all I'll say. And like I said, Carolina, you have no expectations this year. So that's why I got to put you last.
I'm going to flip Carolina and Tampa for mine. I do think that New Orleans will win. And I found out who I think could be the other coach in this division, which is why Carolina is up to 3 and Tampa's down to 4. I think Baker Mayfield is going to push Jameis Winston, if he gets to play the entire season, for the franchise record for interceptions in a season. He's going to break 30 if he plays all 17 games because he's already thrown 15 in camp.
You got to think that Mike Evans, Chris Godwin are decent enough receivers that they can play a little defense and making sure those balls get knocked down, though, right?
He's going against a defense that he knows what he's looking for. They script
this. The divisional defense is not very great. Like that's
no, the divisional defense isn't. But whoever they play, like if they play Cincy again, Joe Burrow is going to eat them and spit them back out, and it's not going to be pretty. I'm sure I'll be eating my words because the Bengals will probably start this year off 0-8 because they've been on such deep runs the last couple of years. But in my mind,
won't be playing a preseason game. That's why.
like he's ever played a preseason game. You think that hurts me? He's never done it.
That's fair.
He's never done it. But it is like that's as ironic as it sounds. If you're a fan of a team in an NFL division, you almost want your division to be good because if you have a good division, look at the NFC East where you have 2, possibly 3 teams making it into the playoffs. I can't remember if they had 3 or not last year. But
yeah, they had 3. They had the Eagles, the teams, the Giants, the Cowboys. All 3 did make it.
If you got teams at the top that are like 14-3, there's room for error to make the wild card. But when your team at the top of your division is 8-9 and everybody else is 7-10, you were done with the wild card by week 10.
Yeah, like you're fighting for your division live, and that's all you have to fight for at this point. Like you got to hope for division losses, and that's all you can hope for.
Yeah. The background has changed, so now people that have been watching for over the summer, they should know what time it is. I'm sure Nico's been trying to avoid this because he's not excited about the topic. It is
I'm gonna do
time for
NBA for you next week, just to talk basketball again. We'll see. We'll see how good I do. Is all I'll say is like I said. I like watching college football. I will never not say that. It's entertaining, but I'm not. I don't sit here like Jimmy and watch every single bowl game in the last 20 years on repeat. And look,
and D2 football playoffs and D3 football playoffs.
Exactly. And kudos to you for being able to do that. But I prefer spending more time watching the World Champions. You can put that ticker right across the screen one more time. I prefer watching the World Champions that time of the year. So yeah, I'm sorry.
Yeah. It's partially because I am a former D2 athlete, but it's a sickness. I wish I could help myself. Actually, I don't wish I could help myself.
Your girlfriend has never met you during football season, so this should be interesting. That's all I'll say.
Yeah, she had me at the end of like the middle to the end of the NFL season, and she's a Vikings fan, so we all knew that was a fraud. So I'm hoping that I'm gonna.
I called it a bluff. I really did. First, just reminding everyone that I did that. I said the Giants are going to be the Vikings.
She's going out of town, so I won't get an earful this week, but I definitely will when she gets back next week. Let's start this thing off. I'm easing you into it. I'm trying to give you at least 1 point on the week. Standings currently 6-6. I did awful last episode, but
which is crazy because I thought you would have nailed them out of the park. Is all I'm saying. Pro Football Hall of Fame. That's basically your just whole niche.
Yeah, no, I was thinking too much. Like I said, I thought you were going to be a bad friend and make me say the Pittsburgh Steelers as a correct answer and celebrate that, but you didn't. You were a good guy. So I'm trying to be a good guy. We'll start off with a really easy one because you only have 2 options for your answer. College football has been played for over or under 150 years.
Oh fuck! Oh god! Is there a way I can do on the dot? Because I swear I saw 150 anniversary patch on the uniforms, on a uniform that I saw released. So I swear I saw that. So I'll say over because I think it's like partially over.
You're correct. It's over. If you,
I think saw it was, so you're telling me the 150-year patch that's on some of these jerseys isn't real?
No, they did it like 3 years ago because it's now the 153rd season or whatever. I'm pretty sure the COVID year.
I swear I saw a Purdue jersey release that said 150 on it. You may be right. I'm not disagreeing with fucking what's his name, Alex Trebek over here, but I swear I saw a uniform that said 150 on it that was released this week. But hey, I don't care. I'll take the points.
Let's see. What I found, the year that I was given was 1869. So 2023 minus 1869 is 154 years. So even I was a little bit off, but I was pretty close. This will be the 154th season of college football. So good job. You're on the board. I told you. I wasn't going to be a total jerk.
Probably the only one that I'll get. We'll see.
Next question. The Big 12 conference has not always been called the Big 12. What was it called before the expansion back out of the 80s? So the hint is SMU was in the conference. Actually, they weren't. It was around that same time when SMU got the death penalty. The Big 12 became the Big 12 after having this moniker before. Don't make it too hard because you're only looking for whatever different number.
I know I am, but I feel like it's like lower. I feel like it's like a Big 8 or something along those lines because it would have never been called the Big 10. I don't. Big 13 sounds just too stupid. Big 11 sounds too stupid. Give me Big 8.
It is the Big 8. The Big 8 conference.
I swear that was a straight guess. I literally just did deductive reasoning on numbers here that they could not call their conference a number that's either odd or already a conference. So I'll take it.
Yeah. No. And so it was this before. If I wanted to make it super hard, Texas, TCU, SMU, Texas A&M, all of those Southwestern schools were in the Southwestern Conference. Makes sense, right? That was what they were called. After SMU got the death penalty, when the SMU got the death penalty, they had the stigma of SMU being a Southwestern Conference team that they decided, you know what? we're washing our hands with all of it instead of the Southwestern Conference, and because they could have kept the name. There was no number. You could have kept that name forever, like the SEC or the ACC. But they were like, yeah, it's too much. It's too much of a black eye. We'll just start naming it. We're the big schools. We're big. We're in Texas. We're big. And there's 8 of us. So it was basically the guy who came to the pitch meeting and hadn't thought of anything before. He's like, well, what are we going to call our conference? Big?
Big
8. Big 8.
Big 8. Look,
yeah, that's perfect. We have 8 teams. Oh, we have 8 teams in the conference? That's awesome.
And then they got to a point where the numbers didn't matter anymore. We were like, what the fuck are we doing here? Where the Big 10 became the Big 14, the Big 12 became the Big 10, and then the whatever it was, the Pac 10 became the Pac 14, but it's called the Pac 12. And
the Roman numeral 12 is something you can brand. So however many teams, because I'm pretty sure the Big 12 has more than 12 teams in it after the expansion, but that Roman numeral 12, I'm holding up to the camera. It's a solid Roman numeral. That's all I'm going to say.
It is. Yeah. And Big 10, it's just too easy to be able to do the 1 with the I and the 0 with the G. Too easy. You can't change it now.
My phone, anytime I text big now in my phone, it automatically goes, did you mean Big 10? No. It's not always about.
I'm not that big of a degenerate. I don't talk only about football.
Leave me alone. About it. Well, because Big 10, if Big 10 screws me, because that's also the wrestling conference. So if I talk Big 10 quite a bit, and I'm not a Big 10 fan, but kind of, not really.
Yeah. Kind of, yes, but no. Yes, but no.
All right. The rest of the questions have something at least a little bit to do with the Heisman, because it is the most prestigious award in college football. This school had 3 Heisman finalists, all at the same position, within 3 years, and they won the award 2 out of 3 times.
Do I have to give the names or just the school?
Just the name of the school.
Okay. Right off the bat, I'm thinking Alabama because of Richardson, Ingram, and Henry. That's where my mind goes to. I'm trying to think if I can think of another one.
The most recent team that has 3 players all up for Heisman finalists at the same position. Most recent.
And it wasn't the same year, obviously. It was like consecutive years, right?
It was consecutive years. It was 3 back-to-back in a row.
It's any position. It's not running back.
No, it's the same position, but in 3 consecutive years, this position at this school was a Heisman finalist 1, 2, and 3 years in a row, and they won 2 out of the 3 awards. That's your hint.
For whatever reason, I was thinking running back. It's Oklahoma. It's Caleb Williams, Baker Mayfield, and Jalen Hurts.
It is Oklahoma, but it's Baker Mayfield, Kyler Murray, and Jalen Hurts. You're thinking of the Lincoln Riley tree, and we can throw Caleb Williams onto the OU. Yeah. But that is, I could have said the last 4, but they weren't. Since he changed schools, I had to change it up. I was thinking about that was going to be your niche question, but
for whatever reason, I thought you were going to say I thought you said halfbacks or running backs. I thought I heard that, so I was like, oh, Alabama. That's what I was thinking, because I'm pretty sure Alabama did it with Henry, Ingram, and Richardson. I think, or maybe it was like a year off in between, but it was pretty close.
Yeah, I'm racking my brain. I can't remember if Trent Richardson ever made the finalist, but in college,
almost positive he made a finalist, because I remember that highlight where he did the step where the guy literally fell off his ankles, and that highlight being played literally over and over and over again in his highlight tape. I remember him being a finalist, but I don't know if he. I'm pretty sure he didn't win. I think because Ingram won. Henry didn't win, but I know. Ingram won.
No, Henry beat McCaffrey. That was the year that Henry won. So those 2 did win, but it's honestly hard for me to think about Trent Richardson when he was good, because he ate himself out of the NFL so recently, and the XFL, and whatever other spring football league that they're going to.
No pun intended on ate himself out of the league, because it's very true.
No, that was a good one. All right, question number 3. You're 3 for 3 right now. You're going to take a demanding lead.
I thought I was going to go for it. I'm actually surprised that I know more about college football than I did.
All right. Before Joe Burrow, the Cincinnati Bengals drafted this Heisman-winning quarterback number 1 overall. Drafted him number 1 overall, and he was a Heisman Trophy winner the college season before he was drafted.
Let me make sure I'm not overthinking this, because obviously Carson Palmer is the first one that comes up to mind. I don't think that there's anyone else, but I don't know if Carson Palmer won the Heisman.
I will say Also, you got to remember that back in the 90s, the Bengals had back-to-back number 1 overall picks.
Fuck, that does not help me at all. I don't know. My best guess is Carson Palmer. I don't think he won a Heisman though, because I could not name you a person in the '90s that they were drafted by. So just give me Carson Palmer.
It's Carson Palmer.
It is.
Yes,
Well,
he won the.
What year?
He won the Heisman.
What year did he win the Heisman at USC?
The year before, it was Pete Carroll's first year that he took over the head coaching job, and it was the year before Matt Leinart and no, it was before. It was the year before Leinart and Bush became the face of college football. They didn't win the national championship, but Carson Palmer still had a great season and was the number 1 overall Heisman Trophy winning quarterback that was drafted that year.
Honestly, all these I've been shot in the dark, except the Oklahoma one. I knew that one. Everything else has been shot in the dark. I literally could only because look, Heisman Trophy has become a quarterback-driven position. So like, I can only name you about 4 Bengals all-time quarterbacks. So I'm being honest with you. I know Andy Dalton didn't win the Heisman, so it was the next one after that.
Let me see. This is my little mini guess the bench for you. Your 4 Bengals quarterbacks that you know: Carson Palmer, Joe Burrow, Andy Dalton, and Ken Anderson.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was going to say, those are the only 4 that I've ever heard you mention. And those are the only 4 you need to pay attention to.
Really,
I think we drafted Achilles Smith. Awful. Sad. Yep. John
Don't know who that is. Don't know who that is.
Just be lucky that they.
I can throw another one. AJ McCarron.
Oh, yeah. I was at the game where he lost to DeMarcus Ware in freaking overtime.
Yep.
I was at that game.
I only remember that because he was a good college quarterback.
And no, you know his name because Brett Musburger during the national championship went hardcore. Pause. Like he should have said pause, but he didn't. He went hardcore on both AJ McCarron's girlfriend and his mom. So you want to be the quarterback at Alabama? This is the type of girl that you could get if you were the. Shut up, Brett. You're 80.
Just stop, Brett. Like you should not be saying that, buddy. If you're too young to know that clip, like first of all, welcome to the show. Happy to be first time listener.
I'm glad to have you in my 7th grade class.
Secondly, go look it up because it's stupid and funny at the same time. It's like, what the fuck? I can't believe they actually said that.
This is a professional, like the professional of professionals that had been calling college football. It was his last college football game that he was going to call. And not only did he fuck up his retirement, he now has to be the radio guy for the Raiders.
I thought Musburger still does the.
No, he does the play-by-play on the radio for the Raiders.
Who's the guy with the old voice for CBS?
Brad Nessler.
That's right. I always get those 2 names.
Because he was, and I know that voice because he's the voice of NCAA football.
That's true. That's where I always mix those 2 up.
Yeah, it's because you probably don't know this name. Do you know Keith Jackson? Have you been? No. So you know the 2004 Rose Bowl between USC and Texas, right?
Yes, I do know that.
Keith Jackson was the guy who called that game. So if you ever catch the replay, the voice that you hear. And in my opinion, what makes it the best college football game that I've ever sat there and watched was Keith Jackson on the call. And that's weird for me because I'm a broadcasting nerd, but those guys up until that point.
My game, everything had it going. It's probably the greatest college football game of all time. If I were to take a guess, I don't think
it's the only. So you know the Football Life documentaries that NFL Network does?
Yeah, I know all of them. I've never seen one.
It's the only college football game that has gotten its own. Like they brought Vince Young and Matt Leinart and all the big guys from that game back to talk about it. And yeah, also shout out Lendale White, Denver South royalty. You forget that he was a Colorado boy playing on those SC teams.
Yeah, those SEC versus Big Ten rivalry games, big time rivalry games. USC versus Texas, Big Ten versus SEC, baby.
Yeah, that's awful. People are turning us off on the radio.
Yeah, I'm starting that, doesn't it, Jimmy? Huh?
I'm starting to side with our VSN guys. Yeah, I'm starting to side with our VSN guys now. Thank you, Nico. You had to ruin
rivalry, dog. It's crazy, huh?
You had to ruin it. Last question, your niche question. You already, if you get this, you get 6 points, which ties your season total so far in a week.
This is crazy.
I'm banking on.
Told you I will. I think you might have went easy on me, which I feel bad because I feel like some of these I should have. I basically a common person who knows college football should know. So hopefully you gave me a hard one for.
I'm banking on the fact that you don't pay attention to the history of college football like I
No,
do.
not a lick of it.
There is one school who can boast that they have the only 2-time Heisman Trophy winner in all of college football history. What is that school, and what is the name of the person who has won the award 2 times? The only person in history to do so.
This is part of my niche, right? 20 like college
This
football
is your
era.
But
around. No,
it doesn't have anything to do it. It was more about the Heisman, but you already have 4 points. So
yeah, that's fair.
I needed the niche to be easy last week to be able to keep pace. You don't need the niche this week. You might win. You might win the season just based off this episode.
I don't need the niche. God, can I get a hint? Can I get a position? That won't give it away.
The position is running back.
Okay, that does not help.
So it was a point in time where college football
quarterback would have helped me a lot more.
No, well, it's an old enough. It's from a time period where running back was the premier position in college. It wasn't quarterback yet.
So right away, I'm thinking of a couple guys. I'm thinking Floyd Little with SMU.
Too old.
Okay. I'm glad you cut that off because that would have been my final answer eventually. So that's not my final answer. I'm thinking maybe OJ with USC. I think that could be a possibility.
You are in the right time frame now. So the 60s, 70s of college football is where you're trying to look.
Fucking be brutal on me. OJ Simpson was like the 70s, was he?
Well, he played in the NFL in the 70s, so I assume it was late 60s, early 70s for his college.
God, there's got to be someone that's like, if you did this, if you told me Jim Brown and just a fucking no, Jim Brown was earlier than that.
Yeah, like, no Jim Brown was before Floyd Little.
Yeah, no, like, no shot you would have done that to me after that was the niche answer last week.
Before you say your answer, can we just acknowledge as good as the 70s as OJ had, nobody had a worse 90s.
You're not wrong. Not wrong. Hey, worse 90s? I mean, the guy is still walking free.
He never got arrested for what he did in the 90s. He got arrested for stealing his shit back in the 2000s.
And the Ford Bronco is back, ladies and gentlemen.
It's back and better than ever.
And no one knows the Ford Bronco outside of
If you're too young to understand the reference to the Ford Bronco, again, welcome to the show. I'm glad that you're in my 7th grade class. Stop listening to my podcast and let's get ready for school tomorrow, please.
God, I still have no idea. Like those are the only.
Do you need me to give you a conference? Because you're not in
the
right.
Yeah, because that will not help me at all. But let's try.
Big 10.
Yeah, no, not even the slightest.
That can give you that gives you a shot at the school at least.
Yeah. Except I don't fucking know 60s and 70s. Okay, Eddie George is too young. That's too not young. His era. That's Ohio State. Michigan, I don't know. I couldn't name you a running back. Indiana, I don't know. Michigan State, I don't know anyone outside Le'Veon Bell. Rutgers, could not tell you. Does Nebraska count as a Big Ten school? I don't know.
At this point, no. They were in the Big 8.
At this point, oh, fuck. I'm literally going to if I get a half, I get 1 point for the team, right?
You get 1 point for the school, yes.
Oh, because that's my only shot at this, because I could not name you a person. You're going to DM me the name, and I literally will still probably have no idea. So let me just – because I don't think Ohio State had many Heisman Trophy winners. I think Charles Woodson was the first Michigan. So I don't think it's those two schools. Is it Illinois? No. What other schools are missing? Purdue? No.
You're overthinking
Wisconsin? No.
You're way overthinking it.
I'm way overthinking this?
Okay, yes, so you said it 3 times already.
Ohio State, then.
Yes, it is Ohio State. That is the school.
I literally don't know the name, though, so I'll just punt on that point.
Archie Griffin. Archie Griffin is the
yeah. Honestly, would have never gotten to that point. Seriously, would have never. And look, call me a casual, but 95% of the show, outside of maybe Jeremy, would have never got to that point. He'd be like, "You."
Oh yeah, you're gonna get such a big heaping of shit from Jeremy when he listens to this. He's gonna, for the last 10 minutes, he's gonna be sitting there like, Ohio State, Archie Griffin, Ohio State, Archie Griffin, Ohio State, please, Archie Griffin, just say it, just say it.
that's wild to think about because Tebow should have won too. Manziel
Yeah,
probably
but
could have won too. Who else? Caleb
Manziel
Williams
was the
won
last.
too.
Yeah, if Caleb won, well, we'll see.
Could-
Caleb has the best shot to do it next, but right now,
Yeah.
as it stands, Archie Griffin in 154 years of NCAA football, only person to win the Heisman Trophy 2 times.
Yeah, in all honesty, would have never got to that point. I'm glad you gave me a bone with the conference and walked me to saying Ohio State. I feel bad because I did actually so damn well. So I'll just take my 4 points. Like I don't.
If you would have said Indiana, I would have fell out of my chair, and Jeremy would have never listened to our podcast again.
Oh my god! Yes, at a basketball school that probably didn't have football in the '60s. I actually feel I can't believe because I swear I thought I saw statistics like Ohio State has only had X amount of Heisman Trophy winners. I swear Michigan's only had X amount. And that's where I was like, oh, can't be that late. So that's why my mind went to these other schools.
Well,
I will say I would not have landed on Indiana. Indiana would not. I would not if I didn't pick Michigan or Ohio State. I would not have seen Indiana. I probably would have thrown out Wisconsin. Or I probably would have thrown out Illinois or something like that. To because they have a fucking long lineage of football. That's the only thought process I could have had if I didn't pick one of those two schools.
For just an extra bonus question, can you tell me the coach of? It's one of the greatest coaches of all college football history. One of the most big characters. The reason that Ohio State, no, not Jim Tressel. Fuck that guy. Fuck that guy unless he wants to buy me a tattoo. Fuck that guy. He ruined the Miami dynasty. I don't want to talk about that guy.
This is true.
He's one of the only college coaches that I know of for a fact punched a player on live national television. Woody Harrelson. He's the reason why Ohio State players get the gold pants.
That's not the movie guy.
His name is Woody. Now I'm having
Woody Harrelson sounds like the movie guy.
Oh, it's Woody Page. Woody Harrelson is Woody Page.
Woody Page, you mean also the Denver sports guy?
Oh, I know. Now Woody
Harrelson's the actor. I know that for a fact.
Oh,
Woody Page is also the Denver local sports guy. I'm pretty sure.
Woody Hayes.
Woody Hayes.
So I kind of combined 4 different people's names. Woody Hayes. So I didn't get that one right.
We got there.
I didn't even get that one right. You have 10 points.
Like, damn, Woody Harrelson is a long lineage of good actor. Ohio State football coach in the 1960s. He's good for being 120 years old.
He's good. He is. I put my foot in my mouth on that one. You're up. You now have a 4-point lead. So, like I said, you probably win trivia.
I don't deserve 5 or 6. The 5th point. I really don't. You walked me there. I had no chance. If I seriously, if I didn't overthink it, I would have probably guessed Ohio State, like in all reality, but I try to overthink it, and that's what fucked me.
It happens. It happens to the best of us. It's happened to me just doing this series over the summer. You have a pretty commanding lead, and we said the winner would get some kind of benefit during the pick'em season.
It's because I have one up. You have. It's your turn next week, and then we'll.
Have I come close to getting almost 6 all correct?
No, but we've averaged 3 the first 3 times.
Have averaged 3, yes.
So you only need one more. You only need one more.
I got to be more optimistic. I'm trying, but it's hard.
It's doable, Jimmy. As tough as the questions were pretty tough. I'll be honest with you. I'm very surprised I did that well. I am honestly very surprised.
You're picking up my strategies where you say a whole bunch of random shit and then you just go with the first thing that was in your gut. And once in a blue moon, it works. Once in every blue moon.
And obviously today was my day.
Oh, it was a good episode. It was a good segment. Hopefully everybody enjoyed. Again, apologies for my body almost failing me halfway through. You guys got to see one of our old trailers. It will not happen again. I will be in school shape moving forward. But no, I think this was a solid one. And we got to talk PLL, which we've been wanting to talk about for the last few weeks, but it's been too packed. And now it's an hour and 45-minute long episode. So we're almost back up to our season length.
Yeah, start getting in condition for my voice and getting back to this length again. Pause on that. Don't take that the wrong way at all. Please don't. But yeah, start getting the vocal cords back going. But yeah, look, I'm really excited for you to be there. I'm not sure I'm sure. I think your brother's coming, but I'm excited for you all to see the PLL products. I'm very, like I said, tickets. If you're in the Denver area, there's not many left. Is all I'll say. I had to scratch, claw, and nail all my way to get tickets for my family and Jimmy. That's all I'll say. So it's a small stadium, but it'll be fun. The throwback jerseys are sick. Everything, the product will be sick. Everything will just be unreal. And like I said, roll woods, baby. We're I've said this every week for the past 4 weeks. We're turning it around right here, right now, and it's time to get this train back rolling.
I'm hoping I'm there in person for the turnaround. Make sure, check out the episodes. Check out Sunday Scaries. There'll be a new one this upcoming Sunday. You can check out the one from last week, see what I said about the other shows on the network, and whether or not I'm going to be standing behind those takes. Follow us at FEOTV Pod, all social media. Subscribe to our YouTube channel. Follow Variety Sports at Variety_Sports_, and subscribe to their YouTube channel as well. You can catch a lot of our clips over there. Super happy to be a part of that network, and we're super happy to be working with the guys. I've already seen, since I've posted those couple clips on our social media, guys are trying to clap back. We'll see if they got the promo chops. We know we can cut a promo. Yeah. Let me talk to you, baby.
Yeah.
Let me talk to you.
Yeah. I will say I found myself watching Monday Night Raw on Monday. I really did.
Oh, you missed it. If you didn't watch SummerSlam, you missed a doozy. A doozy. We had a twin turn on a twin, Nico. Jimmy kicked Jay in the face and let Roman win. You can't go against your brother. We know this. You can't. If coaching ever doesn't work out, I've said it a couple times to my family. I think they think I'm joking. There's a pro wrestling school, and they have a show that they put out on YouTube. No free publicity, but kind of free publicity. Rocky Mountain Pro. I've been to the school. I visited the school when I was a senior in high school because I happened to stumble across.
I remember that.
And
you told me you want to go with me. I was like, I think I'll pass on that one, Jimmy. I don't think my body is ready for that.
Imagine how fucking weird my dad and my brother felt when they're trying to sell me as a 17-year-old. You could be we have guys that come in here as high schoolers, and they're our Rocky Mountain Pro champions. They bring the belt to school. They were, if it wasn't as much money as they were going to charge me, and I wasn't already playing football.
They charge you to be in this wrestling promotion. They don't pay you.
They charge you to be at the school, but it's similar to like NXT. So when you're at the school and learning and going over all that work, then you pay. And then I honestly don't know if they pay their wrestlers. They should.
Yeah, I'm not sure if that's something you want to pay an annual.
I have not watched a Rocky Mountain Pro show since I was considering joining. But if coaching doesn't ever work out, I have a fallback plan.
Hey, nice summer job. There you go, Jimmy.
That should be it. Oh my!
There you go. No more lawn mowing business next year. There you go. It's not really a job.
Coach.
You're also losing money, which doesn't help. So maybe not a summer job. Maybe a summer little hobby. Might need to pick up another job during the summer other than lawn mowing. Maybe paint some windows or something. But hey,
I'll scrub the mats. Can I get paid if I clean up? How about that?
I bet you they may still do that. That sounds old school enough where they may be like, yeah, absolutely, come do it.
You know who else used to mop the mats? Shawn Michaels. No, he didn't. Don't lie to me. No, he's not from here.
Shut the fuck up. Stop.
You had a better shot of saying Bobby Lashley, but even I know that he didn't. He claimed Colorado, but he didn't really come from Colorado. We're already off the rails. It's summer episode. Hopefully everybody enjoyed. Thank you guys for listening to episode 146. Nico and I will be back with you next week. I will be back on Sunday. Until then, enjoy the rest of your week. Come see me at the PLL.
Yep, check out all the PLL content with Jimmy. I obviously can't really post much, but Jimmy basically runs everything anyways. So he'll post all of it and probably see my dumb ass come across the timeline my fucking balding ass head. Don't worry, I'll have the hat on.
Yeah, well, we'll get Nico. We'll get an action shot of Nico at the game. That's my promise. So be sure to follow us. Be sure to
fixing someone's head after the stick broke. Yeah, that should be fun. That would be funny.
Pause.
Holy shit, Nico's actually doing something.
Pause, Nico. Yeah, you can't talk about lacrosse on this show. Damn it. Maybe they can't play it on the radio because his shaft just totally exploded. Dude.
No, I'm digging myself a hole. I'm just gonna shut up. Enjoy the content this week.
It happens to everyone. It's not a personal issue.
Enjoy the content this weekend, okay?
For myself, Jimmy Pilato, my co-host Nico Bryant, thank you for listening to The Far End of the Bench. We'll see you guys next time.
Peace.
If you don't stay down and you never quit, come on over here and sit on the far end of the bench.